So in this video, I will share my experience with flipped classroom. I will share some of the students' feedback as well as my thought on what I would change if I have to do it all over again. Stay tuned. First, what is a flipped classroom? We all have experienced the traditional classroom, right? So in the classroom, the teacher teaches us the material, we cover the lecture, and afterwards we have the homework activities, we do problem solving, we do revision. In the flipped classroom, it is flipped. What that means is we have to cover the teaching material, the lecture, before coming to class. And in class, we have classroom activities where we have problem solving. We try to apply what we have learned from the teaching material into solving problems. Hence, flipped classroom. Based on this illustration, we can see that we have to prepare beforehand. During class, we have to practice, and afterwards we have to process. So that's basically the idea of flipped classroom. So for the implementation for my class, I used to teach during the classroom, meaning that I cover the lecture material, give the lecture to the student. However, now they have to cover the lecture material which is already available in recording before coming to class. In class, we have the activities, mainly problem solving, and afterwards they can do their revision. So now that it is clear what is a flipped classroom, I have been applying this since 2019, and we will see what are the feedback from the students. So in this comment, there are 3 comments that is related to the flipped classroom. Number 1, his idea for a flipped classroom was very helpful for me, and his outline videos are great for learning. Next, love the flipped classroom style. And third, keep up the flipped classroom technique. So basically from the beginning in 2019-2020 semester, the comment has been positive. So in the next semester, I have this comment with regard to flipped classroom. I really love the flipped classroom. Next, we have this comment. Flipped classroom is a good concept to apply, especially in engineering subjects. So Saifuddin really take a great advantage the use of technology where he would upload the lecture on YouTube so that the students are able to watch it before coming to class. And next day in class, the main focus is to know how to answer questions, especially final exam questions. So that is how I apply the concept. Of course, the lecture video is already made available, and coming to class, we focus on how to use what we have understand to solve problem, and I normally use past exam questions. In the next semester, there's this comment which is interesting on the other side of the coin. We have to watch his video from YouTube before class begin. If we didn't watch it, we'll be like a statue in his class. Alhamdulillah, until now I have watched every one of his video before the class. So that's the other side of it, right? So it is a good approach, especially if you follow the process. You have to cover the lecture material, and in class, your understanding will be enhanced as we learn how to apply it to problem solving. However, if you didn't watch it before, in class, you will be totally out of it. You do not know what's going on, and you will be left behind. So you really have to keep up with the schedule so that you have covered the lecture material, come into class, we apply. So for students that have severe lack of self-control and self-discipline, they really have to adapt to excel in this approach. To think about it, that's what I love, to push the student to be in a proper condition to excel in their studies. So yeah. Next, we have this comment. I think many lecturers should try Sir Saifuddin flipped classroom approach. Now, I do not take credit for this approach. It is not my flipped classroom approach. Many have done it before. Perhaps in this university, not many. Hence his comment like this. But yeah, I think generally it should be good if students can learn in this process. In this comment, we have a comment that says, the lecture and tutorial videos were very helpful. It's just that sometimes we didn't have enough time to watch the videos before quiz. So my approach is actually during the problem solving, at the end of it, we have the quiz. Like we mentioned before, if you didn't actually cover the lecture material, now you might be in the dark when we do the problem solving, and then comes the quiz, you will be affected. So yeah. In this feedback, we have 2 comments with regard to flipped classroom. Number 1, I really like the flipped classroom learning method. And second, the method is very effective as it requires students to do pre-reading first before every class, and students would not have any excuses to not do the pre-reading, as we will straightway be tested with quiz. So this comment actually gave a positive feedback with regard to my approach of having the quiz. Now, not only I apply the flipped classroom where we have the lecture material covered first, and then we have the problem solving activities, I also put a quiz there because normally, from my observation, most students are mostly motivated when there are quizzes or tests or exam. If it's just learning, sometimes the sense of urgency is not there. I'm not sure whether this applies to elsewhere, but that's just my observation here. In this comment, the student says, this technique of learning through pre-recorded video and having quiz every class is great, especially for repeated students, as it more focus on the questions that will be asked for final. So this is an interesting comment because in this course, there's quite a significant number of students that fail to pass on the first attempt and they have to repeat the subject. From what I can understand here, the focus of covering the exam questions, try to solve exam questions, is beneficial for them compared to just having the class time fully for lecture, right? So I think that is what he meant or she meant here. So in this comment, the student actually say reverse classroom. Of course, he meant the flipped classroom approach, and it is an interesting idea. And in this comment here, the student actually said the method that Dr. Saifuddin used, and I believe this refers to the flipped classroom approach, is the rarest among the other lecturers do at this moment for me. So I think because here at least not many actually apply flipped classroom, hence it is rare. It helps me a lot to understand the statics from scratch, which I hope for. So I'm not really sure how the flipped classroom actually directly relate to understand from scratch. My assumption is perhaps some student needs to have the flexibility of when they want to cover the material, as well as if they can rewind and see multiple times to actually get the understanding, especially in the culture where the student somehow is very shy to actually in the classroom raise their hand and ask questions. So that's a problem that need to be resolved, but maybe this actually helps in the sense that they can actually review and rewind until they understand. So that's my assumption. So here there are two comments that is related to flipped classroom. Like the way of teaching, flipped classroom method and quiz every class really helped me improve my understanding towards the subject. Okay, and then inverted classroom, so quote unquote inverted classroom, of course this is referring to the flipped classroom teaching method set up, and I hope a lot more lecturers follow or at least adapt some of the process into their own teaching methods. Both online and physical class platform should be optimized, right? So I think this is with relating to, because we have the classroom activities as well as all the materials available for the students at any time online, right? So I think that's a good thing. So now I will share some of my thoughts after having implemented this approach for a number of years already, based on my personal experience. One thing that I noticed is that beforehand I have to prepare for every single lecture, meaning that the lecture, the slides of the lecture material, I have to prepare every single time. But after I have applied this approach, because all of those have been made into the videos that is available online, and I'll just reuse it, meaning the same videos will be used for many semesters, right? So I do not need to spend much time to prepare in that sense anymore. So that's a good thing. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that I do not need to prepare anything at all. I still need to be prepared for the tutorial session, for any questions that the student have, for any question that they want to raise up from wherever they found the questions. I need to be prepared. Of course, if you understand the subject, there should be no problem with that. Additionally, with what I have said just now about not having to repeat the lecture every single semester, some of the things are no longer fresh in my head, because before, every single semester I actually repeat the lecture in each class for every single semester, right? So somehow it keep that freshness of the information. When after several years that I have not delivering the lecture, it is not that fresh anymore. So that's kind of the negative side, perhaps. Okay, now to the question, would I change anything if I have to do it all over again? Number one, what I would focus on to improve actually in terms of the quality of the production is the mic quality. Now, during all the lecture videos recording session, I only use my video cam to record, and it is actually at a distance because the video is somewhere and I'm on the whiteboard, and it has to be at a distance because I want the video to capture the whole whiteboard. And I do it in one of the classroom as well, where the acoustic is not good and the voice is bouncing all over, creating some form of an echo. So the quality in terms of the audio quality is not optimum. So that would be one of the thing that I would actually because I have now using a different mic for my audio, so that improves significantly in terms of the audio experience. I didn't do that, and I was not in aware of that when I did all the lecture videos. So if I would do it all over again, that's number one thing that I will improve. Now I'm thinking of, should I actually redo all the lecture videos, but because it's already there, and I'm quite lazy, and also I don't have that much time, that's a struggle. So if I have to do it all over again, that would be my number one things that I would take care of. For the second thing that I would change, this is actually specific to what actually happened during that time when I actually recorded all of my lecture videos. In the middle of that semester, for whatever reason, I'm not sure how, the lens of the video cam actually got scratched, a tiny scratch, but it really messed up with the autofocus of the lens, because this is autofocus, a cheap video cam. Of course, it's not this one, it's the previous one that I have. So, but at that time, I was pondering, because also the money issue is important. I do not really have that much money, so to replace this is quite significant cost to me. So at that time, it was quite a bit of delay before I actually change the video cam and buy a new one. So if the students actually cover the lecture videos now, they may notice that for 2 or 3 of those videos, the camera actually got out of focus sometimes during the lecture, and that really affect the whole experience. So unfortunately, that is the case. I haven't actually record the video for that one, so that still is being used until now, 2 years afterwards. Still that out of focus video still up there. Yeah, if I have to do it all over again, I would actually immediately buy a new video cam when I notice that there's a scratch on the lens. I would definitely do that. And last but not least, this is about the hybrid mode that I'm implementing this recent semester. Now, I have applied flipped classroom prior to pandemic, during pandemic, and now post-pandemic. And before pandemic, the tutorial session is actually in the physical classroom. During pandemic, the tutorial session is actually online. And post-pandemic, I actually apply hybrid, where some students can do it online, some students are advised to come to class. What happened was, very minority of the students actually come to the physical class. Even though from their track record of the quizzes, I think many more students should come to the physical class, where I can directly help them there and then. However, when the students are being given options to come to the physical class or to come online, they would choose online. Even though they need help, they choose to stay online, and worse is they do not even ask question online. So that's one thing that I'm pondering, whether I should force them to come physically. Yeah, I would like to treat the students as adults, where they should be accountable and they should know what is best for them. But some lecturers do say that the students shouldn't be given options when they are not able to make the right choices. So I'm still pondering upon this. Feel free to comment what is your opinion on this. Should we force the students in a certain area where we think that is the best for them, especially in this, you know, university level? I'm not talking about small school children, yeah, because, you know, if you give them full, you know, choice, they will just play outside perhaps. But this we are talking about, you know, university level students, so I would assume I can, you know, treat them as adults. But many lecturers says no, 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 no. That's not possible. So what do you think? If you are students, feel free to share your feedback. If you are lecturers as well, feel free to share your feedbacks. And I think most of us are once students, so feel free to share your feedback as well. I'm interested to learn how to improve, of course. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. See you next time.